As we are marking this 25th anniversary on Simchat Torah of Congregations Beth Am's unification with B'nai Yeshurun, we're going to call up Dr. Marie Berkowitz, a past president of Beth Am, who will give some remarks along with Ellen Wohl, marking this moment.
Thank you, Rabbi. Can you hear me? All right, before I begin my prepared remarks, I'm going to read a few pre-prepared remarks. So I'll be mentioning some names. Okay. I'll be mentioning some names, so if I forget to you or someone who is dear to you, please forgive me. After all, it's 25 years, and at least now I'll have something to atone for on Yom Kippur. When I do mention names, some of those individuals are no longer with us, so take note that I regard them all as being of blessed memory. Others have suggested instead of me speaking, we should have Berinthia Levine give one of her inspiring high holiday solicitation speeches. But I rejected that because I have no idea what we would have done with the money. I want to thank Diane Ginsburg, who was the Torah March chairman 25 years ago, for tracking down and assembling the Torah March pictures you saw on the easels outside. And we also have a bunch of material from the Sukkah Awards and a really fancy tablecloth and everything that's outside of Rosenthal behind the gift shop. Thank you. And this kippah, which I have on, Diane Ellis made for me when we were leaving Beth Am. It was from some extra material from the Bima chairs. So this is the first time I've worn it, and it's really nice, sort of. Okay, and I want to thank all those who contributed to sponsor today's lunch. It's been mostly prepared in-house by our caterer, Lisa, but I did poach 30 pounds of salmon for the meal, so I hope you enjoy that. And all the people who donated, some are listed, a lot of you have not been noted, but we will note you in the future. And if you're thinking about doing it, I'll have Berinthia talk to you and she'll be able to get that from you. Okay. Following my remarks, as the rabbi said, Ellen will convey some of her personal memories of Beth Am. We tried to coordinate our words and thoughts as best as possible, but a few things probably deserve some repetition, and I'm sorry if I drove you a little nuts, Ellen. Okay, this morning we celebrate almost to the day when we marched our Torahs from Congregation Beth Am to join with B'nai Yeshurun congregation. We do so to remember our past, to celebrate our present, and to look forward to our bright future. Today we reflect on how members of a synagogue community, we have adapted to change over the years while upholding our commitment to our heritage and its ideals. Beth Am was established in 1933 as Community Temple with the purpose of providing a Jewish education to children regardless of their family finances. After World War II, the explosion of the baby boomers, Beth Am, under Rabbi Jack J. Herman, grew to over 800 families with 700 children in the religious school. The synagogue was a center of Jewish and social activities. There was a couples club, which, by the way, Sally and Alan Rutsky were presidents of in 1962. There were musical productions, bowling leagues, daily and evening minions, vibrant auxiliaries, and youth groups. But after the 50s and 60s, there were great changes in demographics and even greater societal shifts. Beth Am decreased in size. When we welcomed Rabbi Michael Hecht in 1970, we adapted to these circumstances under his tutelage. We embraced egalitarianism. We replaced our long-term venerable retiring Torah reader, Mr. Tickton, with an expansive Torah reading corps of volunteers led by Michael Milgram. We created new programs such as the Sukkah Awards, the Friday Night Lecture Series, and the Tikkun Le'el Shavuot. Our Purim Carnival was a grassroots affair and great fun and creativity. Our sisterhood created an organized cookbook of nearly 300 pages with recipes which many of us still use today. Bingo was not just a fundraiser. It brought together the most dedicated group of special volunteers who labored week in and week out for the betterment of the synagogue. We tweaked other programs such as the Cadillac Raffle, bringing the meal in-house instead of outsourcing to a catering facility, and we engaged our U.S. wires to serve as the waitstaff. We welcomed, encouraged, and supported new expressions of our basic Jewish values. We gave a home to the library minyan. The synagogue opened our classrooms to both the beginnings of the Agnon and Solomon Schechter day schools. When the Soviet Jews immigrated to Cleveland, it was Beth Am, under the leadership of Len Gold, that was at the forefront of congregations offering aid and support. Beth Am felt like a large, extended family. Rabbi Hecht led us with his oratory brilliance and his personal compassion in times of need. The rich voice of Cantor Martin Lubitz brought meaning and a warm familiarity to our prayers. It was a wonderful, positive Jewish environment to raise our children, where they were educated, felt safe, comfortable, and loved. But again, time brought on changes. Our membership declined, and to stay a full-service congregation meeting all the needs of our families, we had to act. We had 2 long merger discussions that ended without resolution. And then we spoke with B'nai Yeshurun, and everything seemed to fall into place. In a relatively short time, we ironed out so many complicated issues because both parties approached the situation with candor, with sensitivity, and with the recognition of our commonality in the practice of our faith and this respect for our heritage. It is now 25 years since we have joined together. In many ways, we have formed a totally new entity, adapting to the times and the innumerable challenges within our community and the Jewish world in general. We have a synagogue with dynamic clergy leadership. We have programming to meet the needs of every congregant. Our future looks extremely bright and exciting. When thinking about what to say today, the first thing I thought about was the people who made Beth Am what it was since I joined over 50 years ago. I wish I could mention everyone, but then I would be approaching the length of a rabbinic sermon, and that is unacceptable. However, I would be remiss not to mention a few individuals. Adolf Amsel was our sexton and renowned kichel man to all our kids. Also, there were 3 individuals who tirelessly helped on a daily basis to integrate Beth Am into our synagogue. I speak of Jonathan Roth, Paula Botkin, and Dr. Rafi Simon. Additionally, Bernie Peters, Michael Jacobson, Alan Rutsky, and David Schifrin were 4 significant leaders involved in the transition over the last 25 years. And we also were welcomed by Charlie Greenspan, then president of B'nai Yeshurun, and Rabbi Stanley Schachter. As I looked at the Jewish News front page about the Torah March of October 17, 1999, I'm sure you can all see it very clearly here. It's my prop. I was taken not by Michael Ellis and me holding the Torahs in the middle or the center of the picture, but by two women, Sheila Hecht and Malva Dunn, flanking us on either side. It was quite apt that they were featured. I guess you could say their inclusion in the photo was bashert. Malva, though in title was Rabbi Hecht's secretary, she was in truth the glue that helped keep Beth Am together. If you were in charge of an event, she would remind you when to send out the publicity and hand you all the pertinent information from an organized file. She was talented, pleasant, and devoted. She was the heart of Beth Am. Sheila was and is the Rebbitzin par excellence. She served well as Rabbi Hecht's sounding board and partner. She created and single-handedly produced our Shabbat lunch and learns. At Beth Am and B'nai Yeshurun, she was and has been the welcomer to any unfamiliar faces and a friend to all. She is a teacher and a great supporter of education. She has been an integral part in our successful merger. I would like to share some prophetic words of Rabbi Michael Hecht from the March of the Torah pamphlet. Rabbi Hecht wrote, "The merger between B'nai Yeshurun congregation and Congregation Beth Am provides the opportunity for innovation and spiritual growth both for the synagogue and its members. We look forward to a fruitful exchange of ideas and new fervor in imparting our religious heritage." This quote sums up what we have accomplished in the past 25 years and what we have to look forward to in the future. In conclusion, if you look on the facing of the balcony in our sanctuary, you will see the large bronze Hebrew letters that were brought from Beth Am's Burma Lipa sanctuary and now have a permanent home in B'nai Yeshurun in the Moskowitz sanctuary. These words are from the prophet Isaiah and read in Hebrew, Dirshu Adonai bihi matzo kura'uhu biyoto karov, which means, seek God where he can be found and call upon him when he is near. I believe together in the past 25 years, we have created a special synagogue to do just that. B'nai Yeshurun Chai, Am Yisrael Chai, Medinat Yisrael Chai. Thank you.
Can you see me? Am I too low? Is there a step? I feel like a bat mitzvah. I originally wrote this 25 years ago. These were and still are my best memories of Beth Am. For those who welcomed us, you can appreciate where we came from. For my Beth Am friends, I hope it sparks some wonderful memories for you. Being part of Congregation Beth Am was like being in a big family that you shared your greatest joys, deepest sorrows, and everyday highs and lows. Sure, that can be said about a lot of shuls, but at Beth Am, there was an atmosphere of inclusion and togetherness that was felt to the core. My family joined Beth Am as somewhat of an extension of our Solomon Schechter experience. We quickly found our niche, made lifelong friends, and we were more than happy to be an active part of the community. My husband Jack ushered and probably kibitzed more than any other member on Shabbos morning. He taught Sunday school and along with Steve Eisenberg, brought the youth group Kadima back to Beth Am. Our kids, Ricky and Lindsay, and all their friends became B'nai Mitzvah and were confirmed there. I was active in sisterhood on the board of trustees, then, if you can believe this, rose to the office of vice president. You all know my sister Paula Bodkin. She was the synagogue bookkeeper who brought her talents to B'nai Yeshurun. Even my parents gravitated from Taylor Road Synagogue and became active congregants. My mom was sisterhood president, and my dad was a regular at Daily Minyan. Being surrounded by our Betham family and friends enhanced the joy of Shabbos in the intimate Berman Lipa sanctuary. Leading the service was the beautiful voice of Hazan Martin Lubitz, and Rabbi Hecht educated us with stimulating, albeit intellectually challenging sermons, or those inspired by his mother or his wife Sheila, their travels, and his love of opera. Rabbi Hecht reigned over the bima, but by Ein Kelohenu, it was overrun by children. He fell during Yigdal, as each one took a phrase to sing. The littlest kids climbed all over him in the rabbi's chair. It made you think you were watching children with their Zadie. Now kids, moms and dads, I hope you're here, listen up. When candy was thrown after a bar or bat mitzvah haftorah, the little kids grabbed their parents' tallis bags, ran straight to the bima, and loaded them with candy. Not one piece was left behind. I expect to see some of that happening. Holiday celebrations were a true high point on the list of cherished Betham memories. And speaking of high, Simchat Torah was always over the top. I can't help but smile at the thought of Hakafot parading with the Torahs while dancing up and down the aisles and anywhere we could find an empty space. Seriously, everyone would be on their feet. The celebration would spill out into the lobby for the enormous spread of pastry and schnapps. I'm happy to see this tradition is carried on. There was plenty of laughter throughout the rest of the service. I can fondly remember our dear Eddie Vanoker on the bima every year, trying to hold it together while he chanted the Haftorah. He failed. I can summarize the entire Simchat Torah experience in 4 words: turkey in the straw. Stay tuned. We sure know how to celebrate everything. Our not-to-be-missed Purim carnivals with Michael Jacobson as the pickpocket man and Marie Berkowitz as the gypsy fortune teller. Bar and bat mitzvahs with certificates in calligraphy by Carol Ann Cohn. The high holidays upstairs with the choir and downstairs without. Marie Altos and Bob Goodstein blowing shofar. Sukkah decorating and those inventive Sukkah awards. Lunch and learn. Tu B'Shvat Seder. Digging in and planting the Bone and Schaefer garden. Picnics. Well, you get the idea. Nothing got by us as we read the call to see what was happening next. We honored Sheila and Rabbi on the 20th anniversary at Betham with a weekend-long celebration. There was a huge gala attended by over 400 people. It featured an original musical tribute called Reflections, written by, me, with an all-star cast. Decked out in stunning Black Reflections t-shirts, singers and not-so-great singers performed the history of the Hetz. If you'd like to hear a sample during lunch, see me. A few of the stars are here today. There are so many years blurring together. It's like a tapestry, as Carole King wrote, an everlasting vision of the ever-changing world. Betham's impact is everlasting. We can feel the continuity, the Yiddishkeit, spirit, and love that still weaves through each of us. Thank you, B'nai Yeshurun, for welcoming us 25 years ago, and together, weaving the continuing thread of our lives.
Thank you to Murray and Ellen, and for all, we are definitely better together.